Keep watching The Politics every Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern Time on New York Parrot TV, the voice for humanity.
And welcome to this Friday's show of Talking Politics. My guest today is Mr. Gene DeFrancis. I am Robert Press. Whoops, I forgot my media pets. So you're going to have to believe that I'm a full-fledged media reporter. Gene, would you please introduce yourself?
Sure. Gene DeFrancis, Bronx resident, Navy veteran, member of American Legion, and founder of the Allerton International Merchants Association.
We only have a half hour, Gene, so.
Yeah, we're going to leave it at that. I stopped.
Okay, we'll leave it at that then. All right. Welcome to the last show of 2022. I can't wait for next year, which is coming in a couple of days. I haven't gotten my invite, though, from Mayor Adams to be with him at the dropping of the letters or numbers for 2023. Mayor de Blasio always sent out invitations to the media. But this mayor is hiding from the media, and we'll talk about him a little later. Now, what's that?
You're in good company. I wasn't invited either.
First off, on the federal level, Title 42 was upheld by the Supreme Court, which means that we may not be getting the flood of immigrants for a while again. Any comments?
Well, I mean, a lot of people, when I hear them talking about Title 42, they glaze over what exactly it does. It was a response to COVID. It's an old law from 1944. It's in response to spreading diseases. And the Democrats are really in a conundrum. Are we in a pandemic? Are we out of a pandemic? What is the actual crux? So when we're talking about Title 42, is COVID spreading? Is it dangerous? Democrats need to answer that when they answer Title 42, because all Title 42 says is we cannot take people into this country while there is a pandemic and the threat to spread a virus or any disease. Mm-hmm. And so they need to answer that question, because when we're talking about Title 42, that's all that is. And when we're talking about the border, we're talking about something very specific. So Democrats are in a conundrum, especially in the Bronx. Do we build and put more people in an already dense population where we learned COVID was higher in high density areas? And they seem to keep wanting to pour more. I mean, how many people are we going to put into the Bronx? 2 million? 3 million? When I talk to the mayor, if I ever talk to the mayor, and hopefully I do in 2023, because they seem more inclined to talk to socialists than Republicans. So hopefully we can come together and talk. I want to know how many new buildings, how many new units when they're talking about development, and what are we doing about COVID, and be strong and definitive about it. Republicans have always had a strong platform on it, and we get lambasted for it by certain groups. All
right. Well, let me answer you by saying that the Bronx was supposed to get more people so the previous borough president could have his run for mayor. This way, if the Bronx had, say, 2.5 million people, then he might have a better chance. No one from the Bronx will have a chance because we are the fourth largest borough. It runs Brooklyn first, Queens, Manhattan, then the Bronx, and Staten Island last. But I want to move on to what happened this past week upstate. The couple of feet of snow. I thought they were prepared for it. I mean, I've never heard problems up there in past years, but now all of a sudden they had a problem. They couldn't clean the snow. It's a week, and streets still aren't plowed in some areas. Any comments on that?
So I'm not an expert in Buffalo and their politics and designs, but from an outsider perspective, it looks like they ran out of money somewhere, or they didn't have enough manpower. Maybe in the response to their COVID policy as well, they lost a lot of people or didn't retain people. I have several friends in Buffalo. I love Buffalo. It's very cold, but a very beautiful county, a town, city, and it is unfortunate. I think the number is 40 people died in Buffalo, so it's
yes,
very serious. They need to check out the infrastructure. I personally don't have the answer as to why, but if I had to guess, I'd say funding and manpower was probably lacking.
Well, we're lucky we haven't had snow yet here because we really didn't have a test yet for Mayor Adams. And what happened was when Mayor Lindsay first came in, there was a big snowstorm and he couldn't handle it. And he just got thrown under the bus, basically, by all the electeds, saying it was his fault, he wasn't prepared. So let's go into Mayor Adams' first year in office. He gives himself a solid B plus. And well, I have here pages and pages from what he said, going from he made New York safer, he launched dyslexia screening for public schools, he secured billions to provide quality, equitable child care for working families, expanded gifted and talented programs in public schools, putting hundreds of millions, etc. Now I'm going to just stop on the gifted and talented programs, because in Riverdale, that was one of the main things, that the students were performing better than most of the other students in that district, and they wanted programs. They had in the schools an honors program, as it was called, which my daughter went through. She went through this, and school was made 6 to 12, and my daughter got a lot of scholarships to college and chose to go to Iona. So, I mean, what happened was, with the gifted and talented program, it became district-wide, and any child could enter it. And you had children, the District 10 went down to 183rd Street. So you had children coming up from 183rd Street to this school in Riverdale for the gifted and talented program. My thing, when I was a parent leader in District 10, I was the President's Council, and I was on the Chancellor's Parent Advisory Council, was I want to make every neighborhood school the best it can be. So you don't have to have children going to other schools, only for specialized programs. But every neighborhood school should be the best it can be. Now, what grade, though, do you give the mayor this past year?
So I'm going to give you an answer, but I'm going to elongate it a little bit.
Please up. We're hearing, we're having a little problems hearing you, so if you could talk a little louder.
Sure can. So I should have gotten the microphone too. I didn't set up properly. I'm going to give you an answer, but I'm going to give a little bit of backstory to it first. So as you and most of your viewers know, I was an independent for most of my life. Couldn't stand politics, didn't believe in politics, wanted nothing to do with politics. Got the call from Chairman Randino. It's no secret. I was a candidate for the special election in 2018, and then was called again when a candidate passed away in 2020. Now, I ran on a different platform. So as far as grading politicians, I'm prefacing it with, I don't care to do that. I can do it and have fun and play along. But in my experience, and the only way a city works is through communication within the community. It's not going to be on the mayor. It's not going to be on any of the elected officials. And I hope that over the years I've demonstrated you could do a lot without the elected officials. It's always easier and better if we go work together and on the same page. And for that aspect, I think Eric has been doing a great job in letting the communities run by themselves. He hasn't really dipped his hands in it too much, at least in the Bronx, which some would say, oh, he's ignoring the Bronx. To me, we have a lot of leaders that just need to get the support to flourish. That hasn't happened fully yet because we're always getting attacked when we go against the plan. Overall, for Eric Adams, I would say it's a D because he wavers on the policy. You hear backdoor, he has this idea, and then publicly he does this. If he sticks with his guns, I think he could move up to and I'm being transparent and candid, a B or even an A. He could be one of the best mayors if he would just bring Republicans to the table, bring the Democrats to the table, moderates, conservatives, liberals, and hash out what's best for the people and not box out anybody because of their political affiliation. So I'm going to at a D right now.
Let me just tell you how I graded the mayor. He started off very high when he stopped the White Plains Road shelter, which wasn't needed in Community Board 11. After that, though, his grade started falling because all of a sudden he disappeared from the media. He had media conferences with invited media only, or he went into events where no media was invited. So I give the mayor a C- on his rating. A little better than what you gave him.
He ran away from the storm. A real strong leader runs into the storm.
Correct.
You get through it stronger and faster as opposed to, because it always will catch up with you. You can't run away from the storm. It's going to find you.
As bad as former Mayor de Blasio was, he held his press conferences and we were able to question him, and we at times beat him up, and he took it. He even marched in our local Columbus Day parade last year, and people were booing him, but he stood there and smiled and waved. So I got to give it to Mayor de Blasio. And I did get a chance to talk to him one-on-one for a while, and he was a true person, but the position is what corrupts you, unfortunately, because different monies come in from different areas and different influence, and that's what makes you a bad person or a whatever. Let's go into the city council races. All right, we're going to start on the Republican side since you're a Republican. There are 4 contestants in the 13th council race. We don't really hear anything about any other districts right now because all the incumbents are rerunning for that. On the Republican line, since it's a Democratic city council member, who do we have on the Republican line running? There are 4 candidates.
So there's 4 that are
announced
right now. I do expect 4 or 5 even coming up. I know there are talks and everybody wants to work together, and there's political maneuvering going on. But as far as the 4 today going into 2023, we have 4 candidates: George Haberneck, and I think I'm mispronouncing the last name. There's Tiz Nastasio, Grace Marrero, and Christy Marmorato. And
what about Ariel Diaz Rivera?
Early on, I heard Ariel was interested. I think he's still deciding. But I love Ariel. Ariel is a future star in our community and in the Bronx and in the party. Talking about the party specifically. Very bright, very young, very energetic, very hungry. All very great things. I think, especially if you're going to come into the 13th area, you should have a little bit more skin. For me, when I look at a politician or a candidate, I'm looking for no ego, which Ariel would be great because he doesn't come across as an egomaniac.
Let me ask you then, Gene. Let me ask you. Tiz Nastasio ran for the assembly. Will that count in a city council race?
Will it count? I don't know how much of an effect it will have. It comes down to raising funds and building a team. So if she built a strong team and a cohesive team that is still, she's going to make some noise, and then we'll see, what comes in June. I know Tiz is extremely bright. She knows the community very well. She's very passionate. Those are good things. Coalescing people and getting them on board, there are some things that all 4 candidates will have to work on.
And I remember Grace, what was the last name you said that Grace had?
I think she's going by Marrero for the race.
Is that her maiden name?
We know her as Lavaglio.
Right, we know her under a different name. That's probably going to hinder her because people won't know that last name. And Christy Marrero is one of the mothers against 1900 Seminole, so she has a strong backing with the mothers of 1900 Seminole.
Christy's quietly been in the community for all of her life, in both portions, the 82nd portion of the council district, and she resides in the 80th, so she knows the neighborhood very well.
Okay, we're going to have to stop for a break here. This is halftime. So let's go into our commercial, and then we'll come back and discuss the Democratic side.
Let's go. Or we could continue talking.
No, well, I'm, since we started a little late.
Do you wish your business makes it to the top list of the most searched for business in the US and around the world? Or are you searching for halal compliant services and products online? Then Halal Finder is your online resource directory pointing you to the right places and products. Let's help you explore halal products and services of your choice as we manage many halal businesses across the world. Promote your business with halalfinder.com, the only plug you need to grow. Our services include business listing, digital marketing, branding strategy, SEO campaigns, crowdfunding, and humanitarian support. On our Compassion Corner, we offer crowdfunding of halal ventures and humanitarian services. In this section, you can make or receive donations, start donation campaign, and check existing donation campaigns. And by paying zakat and sadaqah to our compassion platform on halalfinder.com, you have supported the poor, widows or widowers, orphans, and the likes around the world. Contact us at info@halalfinder.com or call +1 718 822 5555. Get started today at halalfinder.com.
Okay, we're back. Now, Gene, let's talk about the Democrats, because Marjorie Velazquez has filed with the Campaign Finance Board that she's running. There were rumors that she wasn't running, but from what I'm hearing, she is running. And there are going to be 3 announced challenges. Oh, you're upside down. You're sideways, Gene. You got to fix your picture. Now, the 3 challenges, or people who said they're going to challenge her, are the Community Board 11 Education Chair and possible chair of the board, because she's a candidate, one of 4 candidates to, announced for chair of the board. And that is Bernadette Ferrara, who lives in the Van Nest area. You have, she runs every year. What's her name? Irene Estrada, who is running. So that's 3. And people are asking me to run for the city council. I've just made a withdrawal from one of my funds that I have, and I got about $5,000 more than I expected. So I'm sitting with $50,000 for a campaign fund right now. Do I want to spend the $50,000, or do I want to enjoy the $50,000? You can see now I'm wearing my horse race. Your mic is off, Gene. We can't hear you, Gene. We can't hear you. You may have to you have to unmute yourself. Well, we still can't hear you, Gene. Go ahead. Well, let me continue while Gene tries to solve his problem. Once he comes on, I'll go. The candidates, I believe that if I don't run, Marjorie will win, because I don't think a Republican can beat her. But that's again to be said, because this includes the 82nd Assembly District. And in her last race, Alex Misi, who was a lawyer in the 82nd Assembly District, almost beat her in the 82nd, and she won in the 80th. Now, if we're having people running from the 80th against her, and well-known people, she might have a problem. So are you live, Gene, with us? Can I hear you? Nope, can't hear you. Something happened to your microphone. Okay, so I'll finish out. Just nod your head then yes or no, Gene. I want to move on to, and do we have the picture ready for the 1400 Blondell shelter? What happened was, it seems that the shelter at 1400 Blondell Avenue is now known as 1374. This is the document that's up from DOT. And an interesting thing is, it has, I don't know if you can see it or not. Let me see if I can get it in. It has as the Community Board 10, if you see it. Right there, it says Community Board 10 for this shelter on Blondell Avenue. Now, I thought it was in Community Board 11, okay? We had hearings on Community Board 11, so I don't know how DOT can mess up and say it's Community Board 10. What's happened is, it's right by Westchester Square. Westchester Square is in Community Board 10. So Blondell Avenue is one of these streets where one side is Community Board 11, the other side is Community Board 10. As a matter of fact, are you ready?
I don't know. Am I here?
We can hear you. We can hear you.
Reboot.
Okay. Now, I'm talking about I'm up to the shelter. Now,
Good.
wasn't that in Community Board 10? Community Board 11 and not 10?
No, I believe
The
it's under
Blondell
11.
Avenue shelter.
It should be under 11.
Well, as you saw, it said Community Board 10 by the DOT, giving the permit for, to close the street or part of the street, which they're on the wrong side of the street. So, I mean, a new Bronx commissioner needs to get his act straight. Next item. Well, at least finally this morning, the calendar for Community Board 10 went up for January. There's no agendas on there, but at least we know now that the Education Committee meeting is on Wednesday, and Thursday, the 5th, is the Housing Committee meeting. All right. It would have been terrible to have it go the day before all of a sudden, because we have people complaining that the agendas are not up and people don't know, and there's a lack of information. This is why you don't get the public at meetings, okay, because they don't know when the meetings are or what's going to happen. Any comment on that?
Well, let's be realistic. Most of the 90%, 95, maybe even 99% of the public do not want to spend their life attending these meetings. They want to spend it in their home with their family. They go to work and be with their family. So what I would say to everybody complaining about the community is not getting the information, help them get the information. We spent so much time the last 2 years trying to find the flaws in everybody. You've been attacked many a times. I've been attacked. We're not perfect. We could do 100 things right. You do one thing wrong, and they're going to spend the rest of the year dragging your name through the mud.
Yeah, but Gene, it's the district manager's fault. Okay, he's the one who's supposed to put it up. All right, there's no district service cabinet meeting minutes up for 2 years. All right, I was applicant for a district manager in another board, and then the second board asked me to apply, and I said no after I was turned down the first time because of politics, where Assemblyman Jeffrey Dinowitz put in the president of the Ben Franklin Club, who lasted 3 months before he quit. I was asked to apply again. I said, no, you should have taken me the first time. I showed you what was wrong with this guy, and that's it. I don't do that. All right. And this district manager, all right, his district service cabinet meeting is supposed to be the city agencies, and including people like Con Edison, who have drilled right through Community Board 11, a 36-inch gas main. And the community does not know anything about it. Streets are being closed by Con Edison, and the community should know about it. This is why people aren't coming to Community Board 11 meetings. They're not being told what's happening.
We have a lot of people occupying his time with emails and other distractions, as I'm going to call it. It's not you or I. I think we know the people. I'm not going to name names, but it's not an easy job. It can be with the right communication and support. But we have people that have recently moved into the district to cause a disturbance. Some longtime residents that love it.
Well, Gene, this has been going on for years, so don't talk about recently. I was at these district service cabinet meetings when I represented Councilman Andy King, all right? And I can't see those minutes, okay? Why? Because nobody was really coming. Only Effie from the Department of Environmental Protection, maybe someone from Parks, and someone from DOT, and that was it. Jeremy's meetings lasted a half hour, and probably he doesn't want to put up the meetings because he did nothing. Okay, I could say it here.
I think my biggest criticism of the board is we need board members that actually want to be there. They're very quick to work from home and very quick to not attend the meetings and their committees. We need and it's making me reconsider the term limit plan that they had for board members, because it's very hard, like I said, to have even people attend the meetings and just sit through and care and invest in the goings on and the day-to-day activity. But to actually be involved in the process and on the board, we need 50 people that are throughout the district and attending and attentive, not looking to race out of there because the meeting reached 2 hours.
Well, Gene.
And to support the staff. The staff doesn't run the board. So that's why I don't want to give too much attention to the district manager. He's a manager. He's not the leader of the board. That should be the chair and the rest of the board members. They got to take more control, and the city is knocking them out of the process.
Gene, look at other boards. The chair of the board runs the meeting, not the district manager.
And that's how it should be. Honestly, that was in my opinion, I think they put too much on Jeremy. I know Jeremy for a long time. We don't always agree on everything, but I don't expect that in a human being to agree with every single idea. To me, that's boring. Um, but at the end of the day, I know he has the neighborhood heart in mind. I know he gets smashed from both sides, so I'm going to protect him a little bit on that. But the
Well,
board needs to
Gene,
run better overall, and it's not Jeremy's fault. It's the residents' fault. But it's
Gene,
also they're getting slammed on both sides. Yeah, Bob.
there was a person, Gene, there was a person who left the board in September 12th of this year to go work for an elected official because you can't work for an elected official and be on the board. The vacancy was never told to the borough president's office or the council member, whose person that is. I called Mr. Lucchini about 2 weeks ago at the borough president's office. That's the person in charge of community boards. And he said, there is no vacancy. Jeremy never told us of any vacancy. A couple of days later, he had apologized to me and say, yeah, you're right. The district manager didn't send it to me. And Councilwoman Velazquez said, I never knew of that vacancy because it was hers, since it was a Jonai appointee. All right. Now,
Well,
this,
needs to keep on top of it too. Marjorie
this
needs to keep on top of what's going on in the community a little bit better, especially the board. But
yeah, but this incompetence by the district manager, and I've given you 3 examples. All right, I can give you more if I want, but I want to go on to. We have a couple of minutes left. I want to talk about 2560 Boston Road that's going up. You're involved, I believe, or you're knowledgeable about that. So let me ask you. I know as a former board member what has to be done, and you heard my questions. We don't know the size of the apartments. We don't know how many of each apartment there is. We don't know his construction plans, where is the equipment going to be, where the materials going to be, because he's using every inch of the footprint of the property. So there are a lot of questions, and I'm glad that Community Board 10 turned it down. However, there is a time clock, and they were supposed to have given their input in by October 2022.
well, let me get in right. Let me jump into the
Go ahead.
file. What the board voted for was very clear, and it was my stance too. If you give us infrastructure, a new school, and adequate policing, we will support this project. So if you're asking me, am I going to trade a 300 unit for more classrooms and parking and police, then the answer is going to be yes, because those are the 3 things that we need. So if the mayor is really insistent on a housing crisis and needing to load up, and I really want that number because we don't, it can't be in perpetuity that we just build and push out homeowners. I will never be in favor of pushing out a homeowner to build. This doesn't do that. The superfoods, the biggest complaint I get from residents is how cramped and small that grocery store is. This project would expand that. Parking, it would make a much larger supermarket.
Gene, 15,000 square feet is not a good supermarket. They're now at 30,000 or more.
Oh, I don't disagree with you. I shop at Stu Leonard's a lot. The thing is massive. It's awesome. You got the animatronics and everything like that. I would love that to come to Allerton, but realistically, even if it's just a little bit wider, it helps and it eases the tension in the neighborhood when you go into shopping and you're not crashing into it. But that's just a small point. What the board voted against was, if you give us policing, classrooms, parking, which all of our residents are concerned about, or at least one of them, most likely 2, then we'll vote in favor of the project. That's how Kenny proposed the
Okay, well, Gene, how big is the project on Allerton Avenue, the old Delesios? How many units is that going to be?
That's going to be, I want to say, and that could change too, because they've been going in and out, but at last count, it was 175 units.
Okay, well,
is accurate.
Okay, so we're talking over 500 units. We need infrastructure, and the board needs to make a resolution about that, because the mayor also says with the new Metro North stations, Community Board 11 can get up to 4,000 or 5,000 new units of housing with that. All right, well, we're out of time, Gene. Gene, I have to say goodbye. We'll continue this some other time. So thank you, everybody, for watching, and I'll have Gene back on, and we'll discuss this in the future. Thank you.
Bob, thank you, guys.
Do you know that there is a publishing company that wants to make life easier for you as a writer? This publishing company is called World Inkers Printing and Publishing. We publish in all different languages, and we're looking for writers of all genres, all formats. We're looking for scholars, ghostwriters, playwrights, poets, short fiction, novelists, you name it. We're looking for anybody who is interested in writing and the craft of writing to be in touch with us. You can reach us at info.worldinkers@gmail.com. With World Inkers Printing and Publishing, you do not require a lot of money to publish with us. Contact us